Genius Yield is one of my favorite DEXs on the Cardano ecosystem, and it's because it's an order book style DEX, and it's got a couple of advantages on there compared to the regular AMM ones. And this interview, I've got Lars Brunjes joining me on the episode to talk through some new upgrades and advantages that they have put into the platform with Smart Liquidity Vaults. It's making your liquidity do some work on the platform, and this is pretty cool. So let's get into the details here. What I want to know about Smart Liquidity Vaults is what exactly is it? Like, how does it work, and why do we need something like this?
Okay. Can I answer the last question first, why we need it?
Yep.
Right. So I mean, there are these two different paradigms of how to do a DEX on Cardano or on any blockchain for that matter. I mean, the far more common one is these automatic market maker DEXs, like, I mean, that were pioneered by Uniswap, and where for a given token pair you have one pool and people can provide liquidity to that pool, and then when you trade, I mean, you take out from one side and put in on the other side, and the people that put liquidity in, they do it, or their interest is that each time, basically with each trade, basically the amount in the pool, the total amount is increased a little bit. So that's basically when they take their liquidity out again, then for each trade that happened, they have made some profit. And that's very nice I mean, it's nice and easy for them, because you just do that once, you add liquidity to a pool, and then you can walk away and come back later, I mean, a month later or a year later, and collect your money. So that is very nice with these AMM DEX. However, in the competing paradigm that Genius Yield actually does is order book, which at least theoretically has a lot of advantages. I mean, first of all, it's basically what happens in the real world. Like a New York Stock Exchange, for example, is order book based. I mean, there is no AMM pools. So in principle or in theory, it should be much easier to, it should be much more efficient market, and therefore also more lucrative for liquidity providers. But the problem is that, technically how it worked in the past at Genius Yield was it was quite involved to add liquidity, because in principle, I mean, I'm not a finance expert by any means, but my understanding is that there's a whole industry of liquidity providing for traditional stock markets. So, I mean, that's like a profession, and you need highly trained professionals to do that. So basically you have to all the time adjust your positions. So if the price moves, you have to shift liquidity, put it at a different price. And so you have to actively manage that basically. I mean, the upside is that you can make a lot more money, but the downside is that, I mean, you really need to know what you're doing, and you basically have to sit in front of your computer all the time. Or obviously you could also have, I suppose, some automatic system, but that system would then need to be online, and you have to set it up. So that means that even though we try to make it as easy as possible for people to provide liquidity for Genius Yield, that never really took off. I mean, we had these market maker bots that people could run, but I mean, even for that, in principle, you would at least need some technical expertise to know how to run such a thing. And then you have to either run it on a server or have your laptop online and while this is going on. And now so the problem we are trying to solve is basically make providing liquidity on an order book stack as easy as it is to provide liquidity on an AMM DEX, where it's just right. And then I don't know what the first and second question was, but one is how it works and what it is. So how it works, it's actually very simple. I mean, extremely simple. I mean, what we had until now were these what we call partial orders. So you place an order for a token pair, you put money of one of the members of the pair in, and then and you set a price, and then people can take that out and pay the price. And then at some point it's depleted and the order is closed, or you can cancel it. And so basically what a Smart Liquidity Vault is we also call it two-way order. So the only difference is basically you have you potentially both tokens in this UTXO. If it's whatever ADA gens, then you don't have to decide you sell ADA and get gens, or you sell gens and get ADA, but you can put ADA in and gens, and you set a price in both directions, and then people can use it in both directions. So they can, I mean, like but at a price that you set. So it's not this automatic constant product formula like on AMM, but instead you set the price. And that would be already nice to have, I think. But of course, still, if the price of the pair shifts, then you would still need to manually adjust the price. So that would still not be automatic. So that's why we have like two different ways in which you can run them. So you can indeed set a fixed price in both directions, but you can also set a relative price where you say something like sell at 1% above market price and buy at 1% below market price, and then use an oracle so that you don't have to, as long as you are happy with this 1% in my example, you don't have to do anything. Basically, at any given time, use an oracle to determine the current market price and then add this percentage or subtract the percentage, and then it's taken. And that means
Gotcha.
From a usability point of view, it should be as easy as it is at an AMM DEX. So you just do that once, you place liquidity, and then you can walk away, and you come back at some point, and there's more than hopefully than you put in there originally.
Hopefully.
Right. I mean, that always depends. If nobody trades, I mean, that's the same on AMM DEX. If nobody uses the pool, then you also don't make money there. And of course, the advantage over AMM is that, I mean, first of all, it's more configurable because you can set these prices, I mean, the percentage, for example, and it doesn't have this, I mean, these notorious problems that AMM DEXs have with the, what's it called?
Batches.
No, that too. But I mean, that is solved by the order book anyway. Impermanent loss. So that, and the fact that you have concentrated liquidity on a order book DEX. Whereas, I mean, the problem with AMM DEXs is always because they basically cover an infinite price range from 0 to infinity. Most of the money is just sitting there and not really active. Whereas when you, like in our system now with this 1%, for example, it's basically always close to the market price. So somehow, at least in theory, your liquidity should be put to better use and therefore give you more yield. I mean, that more trades happen.
Okay.
I'm just trying to visualize the idea.
I'm just trying to visualize part of that. And when you're putting liquidity into the order book, you're essentially setting the price of those two tokens, so GENS and ADA. So setting it to trade at a certain price. Is that correct? With the 1% band either way?
Right. I mean, that I forgot to mention. So at a liquidity pool, the way it works is, I mean, you must put both sides in, and the ratio in which you put them in determines the price.
Yes.
So you can't just put arbitrary amounts in. The ratio must be correct to reflect the current price in an order book. So, for example, if in a perfect world 1 GENS would be worth 1 ADA, then in a AMM DEX you would need to put the same amount of ADA and GENS in. In the beginning, and then it adjusts automatically with this constant product formula. And with our SLVs, that's not. There's no requirement on any relation between the two amounts because you explicitly set the price. So you could say, okay, I want to use a price of, I mean, if you don't use this oracle, if you use a fixed price, you could say, I want to use a price of 1, but I happen to have 100 ADA, but only 10 GENS, so I put 100 ADA and 10 GENS in. So the ratio of what you put in doesn't need to be related to the actual price. So that's one additional advantage, I think.
Okay. So I can set the tokens at a fixed price, or when you say oracle, do you mean the fluctuating price of the oracle? So as the price of the oracle changes, the feed from the oracle, so does the value that my token might be trading at? Is that what you mean?
Yes. So for example,
understood.
I mean, that is right. Otherwise, you would still need to constantly monitor it and by hand somehow change the price. So if the current price is, I mean, you just say whatever, I sell 1% above market price and I buy 1% below market price or something. So then if the oracle says, okay, at the moment the market price is 1, then you would sell 100 GENS for 101 ADA, and you would in the other, whatever. Bad at math. Yeah, so that's the idea. And then if the oracle changes, then automatically that, that price adjusts.
Gotcha. Okay. That now that makes more sense. There's some sort of level of automation there because the Oracle feed is coming in,
Mhm.
making the price fluctuate. Having that
Right.
external input to actually execute it. All right. So, what oracles is this using to make that work?
Right. That is sort of the not so
Because
nice part.
yeah, is it centralized? Is it
Yeah,
decentralized? Will
right.
that fall over? Will my orders like break? That kind of thing.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that is like the not so nice part. It's not, it's basically centralized. So, the smart contract is flexible. So basically it
Yeah.
just, when you create the order, you specify the pub key hash or the public key of the Oracle. And then when somebody wants to fill, he needs to present a certificate signed by that public key, that states, okay, at the moment the price is whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
in principle, anybody could provide an Oracle, but for pragmatic reasons at the moment, it's basically our own public key. So Genius Yield will provide the price. And of course, we also, where must we get it? So we will use providers like Tap Tools or Charlie 3. And ideally, at least two, so that if there's a discrepancy or if one of them is down, we can stop it so
Yeah.
that if there's a technical glitch. That's admittedly not so nice. I think there are ways to in future make that better and use like a fully decentralized Oracle. One idea I had was one could, for example, get the price from the competition, like just look at a specific pool on MinSwap, for example. And because of as we said, the ratio of the tokens in the pool determines the current price. So
Yeah.
it would be reasonably easy, I think, to use just a reference input on maybe not just one competitor, but several, and then average that or something. So I think in principle, it's possible to do it decentralized. Of course, there are also decentralized oracles on Cardano at the moment. The problem is just that would have been prohibitively expensive because I think you have to pay them each time you
Yeah.
want an update. And
Yeah.
we need like an update every minute for like 30 token pairs. Um, that's why we went with this semi-centralized route for the moment. And of course,
Yeah.
that means there is, if we report the wrong price, then obviously people could lose money. And there is nothing in the smart contract, obviously, that can prevent that. But I think it's not too bad because at least everything is public on the blockchain. So when a fill happens, then there is like the certificate is like publicly there on the blockchain where we said at the moment the price is this. So it would be like suicide for us to mess that up. So
Yeah.
that's like the idea
Yeah.
why people
You don't
can
want to be trading at the wrong price, and especially providing the trades at the wrong price. That just
exactly
makes things
exactly
even worse. Okay, that's great. So we've got an idea of how we can automate the liquidity that we put onto the DEX. That's fantastic. We can see how the oracles work, and that all ties in. What about the actual usage side? So it's great that I can put in liquidity and make it really easy and make it do some
Mm.
work. But you also need users on the other side using the DEX and trading through the platform as well. So one, you got to get more people using Genius Yield, and two, you need the DEX aggregator integrations as well to make sure
Right.
they're all working and tied in with all of this. How's that all looking?
That is obviously like a chicken egg problem, or it's actually, as you
Hmm.
mentioned, it's three parties, right? Users, liquidity providers, and aggregators. So it's chicken egg and I don't know, hen house.
I don't know, whatever.
This is obviously a problem. I don't really have a good answer to that except hope for the best that, obviously we'll try to do some marketing now for the SLVs that people try it out. And I have no idea how these things work. Why sometimes it works and when it doesn't. Obviously you need, nobody will provide liquidity if there are no users, and nobody will use it if there's no liquidity, and no aggregator will be interested if there are no users. So, you need somehow to kickstart it. So hopefully, like the initial excitement that this is now there and people try it out, and then hopefully, if it works nicely, then hopefully that will, spread, the word will spread, and then
Yeah,
more people will use it. I don't know actually, what else to do about that,
yeah.
just to,
Well, there are already some big advantages. One, no impermanent loss.
mhm.
Like that one catches out people all the time. They put in liquidity to an AMM DEX, then a year later they pull things out and they go, "Where'd all my ADA go?" it got liquidated through the meme coin. That's why. So, and then the other thing, the batches. I know a lot of the DEXs out there now have reduced the batches fee down to almost nothing, free. But that was always an issue because it ate into the profits as well. So people will trade. There's the batches there will take a bit of fee or whatever. So it costs more to actually trade on those platforms. But that's pretty much cleared up now these days. And with order book DEXs, makes it even better. So I think there's some really good advantages there overall. So if people are interested, they can try out the platform, provide liquidity, and see how it goes, see how much more revenue they can generate and put their liquidity, their tokens to work.
Right. Yes, exactly. I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot of theoretical advantages, this order book system. I think it's just for Cardano, just on like philosophical grounds, almost it's like the better fit because of the UTXO model, it just fits better to have each UTX order in one UTXO. And also like for practical reasons, like financial reasons, it should be much more efficient and that people can, trades can be better, cheaper and also liquidity providers should get a higher yield. But of course, we need the users for that. So the hope is that, the technical advantages will convince people to try it.
All right, fingers crossed. Well, Lars, thank you for joining me on the podcast episode to talk through Smart Liquidity Vaults and what you guys have improved on this. It sounds pretty exciting. I will give it a go myself and do some tutorials so people can have an idea of how it all works. But thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking to you again.
It's been a pleasure for me as well. Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lars.
Thank you.
Let me hit the stop button.